Today on Homeworthy, we're stepping inside 4 cozy homes that prove you don't need a large footprint to create character and comfort. First, we head to Charleston to explore a thoughtfully renovated home filled with sentimental artwork, cherished family heirlooms, a snug attic nook, and an original kitchen. Next, we visit a Brooklyn apartment where antique treasures and warm, welcoming hues create an inviting retreat. Then it's off to Atlanta, where an apartment was transformed into a cozy haven featuring sun-drenched windows, carefully curated travel mementos, and a dreamy, character-filled bedroom. Finally, we travel to Houston, where a creative couple infused every inch of their home with personal touches, from custom cabinetry and a space-saving Murphy bed to a cleverly designed music studio. Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Caroline Lunny. Welcome to the Birdhouse in Charleston, South Carolina.
Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. If you're looking to make your own space more homeworthy, we've teamed up with Cherish, our go-to online destination for chic, one-of-a-kind finds, sourced from the world's most wonderful vendors.
Mercury drops are from an artist I found on Cherish.
Whether we're after a bold statement piece or the perfect finishing touch, Cherish has extraordinary items that leave a lasting impression.
This table I bought on Cherish from Berlin, and it has a little bit of it's a tray, and it is mid-century, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
It's where we find iconic looks to set homes apart.
I think many dealers would agree that Cherish is the absolute best.
So to support Homeworthy and discover amazing items from Cherish, scan the QR code or click on the link below to start shopping.
My name is Caroline Lunny. I am a founder of a marketing agency, and welcome to my home in Charleston, South Carolina. I have lived in this house for about 3 years now. 3 years ago, we did a complete renovation, and I brought my sense of color and wonder to this home. I call it the Birdhouse because it has a bird on the front, and I love living here. I used to live down the street from this house, and every day I would come home and pass it on my way home from work, and I would always say to myself, if someone got their hands on that, that could be such a magical place to live. And then when I saw it come on the market, I pounced on it and was so excited to completely redo the whole space and bring lots of color and put my own touch on the house. We did a lot of renovations on the place, nothing major like walls torn down, etc. And we have all the original floors, which is one of my favorite things about the house, and the original windows, which are very old. That house is about 90 years old. However, we redid the paint colors, we kind of redid the flow, and just brought it to this era while still keeping its charm. Welcome to my living room. The hero, my favorite part of the living room, is this yellow couch with pink piping. I dreamed of a yellow couch, and I actually found this couch on clearance at Anthropologie on the floor. I made my brother carry it through the entire mall into a truck, so shout out to him. I love it. I sit on it every single day. Above the couch is this gallery wall, which is a collection of my favorite artists and things that mean a lot to me. This portrait right here, I got done in Paris by an artist that I love in college, which I've been saving it for many years. This other portrait my dad did of me when I was very young. This print, maybe this is how it starts, is just something that inspires me every day with wonder, like maybe today is when something great begins. So I love that mindset and that print. My dad is also an artist, And this painting here, this print far over here, is a picture of my mom, my grandma, and my aunt sewing when they were featured in a magazine, kind of similar to Homeworthy. So I love that picture to just shout out to the generations of women who have been such artists in my life. We got lots of color happening with the pillows. The more pillows, the better, so I love those. The rug here kind of brings all of the color together. It's one of my favorites, kind of bringing the couch to the floor, then up here to the fireplace, so I love the rug with the clear coffee table. Because this is a small space, we kind of had to break it up a little bit, so that kind of gives you some relief for your eye in the middle of the room. Here is my teal chair that I love, also from Anthropology, and then some prints above it. I love butterflies. I have a thing with butterflies, so you'll notice a lot of butterflies in this house. We transition over here to the fireplace, and we painted pink on the bricks to actually match the pink lining of the windows. So I'm all about the details, and I love that we did these little things throughout the house, especially the lining of the windows to match the fireplace. This painting is one of my all-time favorites. This is actually one of my first freelance projects in college. I did a website in swap for this painting by an artist named Tina, and I love it every day. I think of our early beginnings. So I love this painting with lots of color. One of my favorite things to do is to restyle my coffee table, but right now we have a few coffee table books featured, some coasters, candles important, and my favorite part is a few matches from my match collection in this little heart dish from my mom. I love collecting matches. It's just like such a great memento to remember where we've been and where we go. And then I made these matchbooks for my house, actually, for takeaway guests for my birthday party last year. It says a special occasion is today, which is something I always try to remember. And I love keeping those for guests in my house. We are in a smaller space, so something I thought about when designing this space is how can we bring more light in here and make most of the space. Something that has helped is this mirror. I find that mirrors on walls, we just kind of help see the space a little bit more. Other things is I'm always trying to declutter, get rid of stuff, which is basic, but it is very helpful. This is where my TV is, and all my treasures and books I kind of store in this piece of furniture. Some highlights. This picture is one of my favorites. It's of the house originally when it was built in 1930s. So I love kind of honoring that and remembering where the birdhouse came from. So that's a special picture that the owners shared with me when I bought the house. Others are pictures of my family. I love the bright pop of these coffee table books. I love a coffee table book. And then inside is kind of where the rest of my collections and collected items goes. Next, we're gonna head into my kitchen. So this is my kitchen, one of my favorite rooms in the house. One of my favorite things about the room is my blue retro fridge. As soon as I toured the house, before it was in this state, I knew that this was a house that needed a retro fridge. So we did start planning the design around this fridge, which inspired a lot of the room. We'll move around here, and these countertops were actually in the house. So we tried to use as much that was in the house during the major renovation as we could. So we kept these countertops, and I love them. I think they give kind of a retro feel, and I love the rich blue color that they bring into this space. Along with the countertops, we also kept the cabinets, and all we did was we added some new brass hardware and some trim to the cabinets, and it was such an easy way to elevate a cabinet door that was otherwise kind of bland and brought a lot of texture to the room, so without having to replace them. So I do love my cabinets and all the hardware. You'll notice also we painted the inside of these windows blue, just like we did in the family room pink, to bring that color pop into the room without having to coat the whole room. I think I ordered hundreds of samples, but we finally landed on this one that really brings all the colors together in the space. So we have the pink from the living room, we have this dark blue from the countertops, we have some yellow, which is my big yellow light in the middle, and it brings it all together, and I love it. I was so afraid I would get sick of it, but I haven't yet. It really is a great backdrop for the kitchen and a different take because it's this fun floral pattern, which you don't always see in a kitchen space. I love this big yellow light in my kitchen. When looking for a light fixture, it was kind of a mystery, like what should we do? But we pulled in this more modern yellow light, which kind of ties together all the different textures and pieces in this house without giving it too old of a feel. I also think the modern light up against this girly floral wallpaper allows it to work. It allows you to imagine this space. So I love my big yellow light. And then this butcher block was an amazing Facebook Marketplace find. I love Facebook Marketplace, especially in Charleston. It's just an old butcher block I got from a really nice lady. And it has some storage in here, which is very key for a smaller space. And I love how it looks kind of old and worn and used. Underneath here for seating, we have two white stools that pull out and allow this butcher block to turn into a table because we don't have a dining room in this space, which has been a great way to be able to have a dining table and a usable workspace in the kitchen at the same time. This is my farmhouse sink. This was a little bit of a puzzle during the renovation process to think about how do we fit a sink in here. There used to be a very old, very crusty, very bad sink in here. So we tore it out and put in this new, fresh farmhouse sink with this gold faucet that's mounted on the wall, which I love the wall mount. I think it adds a very farmhouse feel. And we also fit a dishwasher in here, which was kind of a miracle. So we have a dishwasher and the sink, and I love it. You'll see above these windows and in the windows throughout the house, I got these bamboo shades, which add this natural feel that kind of ties in the floors and the middle piece here. And I think it gives such an organic bungalow feel throughout the house and some consistency room to room. So you'll notice these in my bedroom, in the living room, etc. This piece of the kitchen was actually completely new. So what you just saw over here, it was original, and this was a new piece. So during the design process, we kind of asked, how do we make it look like it blends? In the attic of the house, we actually found some of the tile that's the same tile as the countertop. So we were able to bring it over here and turn it into the backsplash, which really brings the two pieces together and was just kind of a stroke of luck. So I love that and the way the cabinets fit together. We have some cookbooks over here featuring my hometown and some of my other favorite chefs that I love. Some colorful dish towels to add that I like to change out seasonally just for some fun. Candle, my Le Creuset, all the essentials. This is my bar cart. I love the raffia and bamboo influence. I also kind of hate working with black. I never really use black, but we were able to bring some black in to tie in to like the oven and the other black pieces that you see, kind of give it a grounding feel. But I complemented the black with a lot of colorful glasses. We have a lamp, which brings in a lot of light. I love adding a little lamp to any space, especially a bar cart and in a kitchen. I love a lamp in a kitchen. And then this piece is something I found in an antique store, and it says, "In this house of peace and rest, we welcome you, our lovely guests." Before the renovation in this kitchen, there was some sticky tile placed on top of these beautiful hardwoods. And so when we pulled it up, we were so excited to see that the floors were intact, and we just did some refinishing, and now they're not perfect, but I like the imperfect, beautiful original look of them. Another thing we did in the kitchen was bring this beadboard in with this chair rail trim and allow us to use wallpaper without it being overwhelming. And I love that it brings some relief to your eye, but still some character. So it is a new piece, but it looks kind of original. My go-to design tip is just, if you love it, it will all look great together. And my other tip is I started collecting stuff for my future house since I was very young, and that has definitely paid off. It was a little crazy at the time because you don't have a house yet. However, it has filled my house with so many treasures that mean so much to me, and that has been really fun over the years to see it come to life in this space. I think what I love most about my home is that it's small and it kind of feels like a dollhouse, but also it's just such a fulfillment of my childhood dreams. I kind of designed it thinking of like what myself as a young girl would love. I grew up going to a lot of open houses and home tours on the weekends with my parents, and I loved color and sewing and crafting and just what art meant. I was also addicted to HGTV as a young child, and so I always dreamed of renovation, and this house was my first try and kind of my first fulfillment of those early dreams. I would describe my personal style as eclectic and very collected, but fun and approachable, kind of that classic meets bohemian meets color. I kind of like to say I just identify things as, okay, that looks like me, and I bring it into my house. But we have a lot of stuff in here that I've collected over the years from a lot of traveling, a lot of my family members, a lot of things that have been passed down, or things I see that I just love. Next, I'd love to show you my bedroom. Welcome to my bedroom. The best part about my bedroom is my green bed. I wanted a big, bright pop of color, and the green definitely achieved that. However, it's still a bedroom, still a place to relax and wind down. So I tried to think about how do we combine the green with some more relaxing textiles and colors. So we brought in this blue shade, which is my favorite, and this brown throughout the linens, which I think really ground the green, but also give it its moment. This was a big wall, so when we thought about what art to put on the wall, I had these prints that I brought back from Italy, and I complimented by getting some inexpensive frames and spray painting them and then arranging it in this unexpected order to bring in some color that matches the lampshades and the beds, but also that brown grounding color in the prints. These two side tables were a Facebook Marketplace find, and I love that it has two levels here so that you can really show off a lot of these coffee table books and little tchotchkes and things that I collect. So on this one, we have two boxes from the World Fair. So they made these for World Fairs throughout the country, and I have one throughout the world, actually. I have one from Italy and one from Paris. And I love those. I found them at a flea market in Milan, Italy. So those boxes are really special. And then I have it complemented with some classic gray Malin coffee table books, some other jewelry boxes, and other little figurines. I love these lampshades. They're fabric lampshades that are pleated and bring a lot of color against this neutral lamp. This painting is also painted by my dad of me as a little girl in northern Michigan, which is my other favorite place to be. Now we'll go over to the other side table. Same lamp happening over here with this matching lamp and lamp shade. And then again, I love the two levels here because it allows you to display a lot of stuff without it feeling too cluttered. So on the bottom level, I have some of my favorite books and other little nightstand things to hold my jewelry, etc. A picture of my mom and I, and some more boxes, including this bleak heart and this Magnificat print that I found also at an antique store. I love Belique. A lot of the women in my family are Belique collectors because we're very Irish, so you'll see that throughout my home as well. This painting is from my grandparents' house. My grandma so generously gave it to me. I have so many fond memories of it being displayed in their hallway. So during dinner parties and holidays, I would always see it and imagine myself one day being at some type of ball like these colorful ladies are. So I love waking up to it in the morning. This is my dresser, another Facebook Marketplace find. I was really looking for this vintage refinished pine feel, and this one really struck the exact thing I was looking for. On top, I added this tray that holds all of my jewelry. I love jewelry, so we always have little boxes and little trays to hold my earrings and all sorts of things that I love to collect. This mirror is actually from Home Goods. I found it and just loved the floral wood design. We have a blue lamp with this scallop shade to bring in the scalloped bedding as well. I also love this dresser because I try to think about when I'm buying furniture pieces, if, God forbid, I went to a new home, this dresser could also work in a living room with bar stuff on top, or it could go in different places. So I love that this piece will be with me for a lifetime. Here I also have this little candelabra moment I also got at a thrift store. Above my bed is this chandelier that I love, and around the top, this was actually original in the kitchen, and I took it off and I spray painted it and painted it blue to match the fridge and the paint under the awnings, and I put it up here with this chandelier that has this floral white ironwork, so it really adds a feminine touch to the bedroom. Next, I'd love to show you my bathroom. Welcome to my bathroom. I love this bathroom, especially the wallpaper. We chose this butterfly print that brings in this yellow that you actually see this from the kitchen. So it is the same line with that big yellow light in my kitchen, and also some new colors with these blues and greens. We added this cafe curtain for privacy, which was a great inexpensive trick and adds that charming feel. These bathroom floors are also original, and I love the white and black check. When we did the renovation, we took off some black molding around the bottom to kind of take that black out and bring in this white, light, airy feeling. We added this trim on the bottom and brought the tile up as well, which is a great wallpaper saver because you only have to do half the wall, and that allowed us to do wallpaper throughout the bathroom. These built-ins in the bathroom are one of my other favorite things about the house. They are original and also provide a ton of storage and charm. We added these brass features on the sides to bring in the brass elements from the kitchen. And then also in the bathroom, this mirror is also another original built-in, and it opens up to storage. And I love the framing, and I also love that we kept these original features of the home and didn't tear it out and worked with it, as they add a lot of charm now that I live here. This vanity we brought in, I love the hardware that brings the blue. These are leather handles with brass, brings the blue into this piece of furniture with the same brass hardware as the kitchen. And I love the little accessories such as this pink tray to feature candle, perfume, etc., and bring some character into the bathroom space. And the soap dish over here, like I said, I love collected items. The soap dish I actually got in Budapest when I was studying abroad and carried it all the way home, and now it sits on my vanity every day with soap from Paris. I love the colors, and I also love having these things in my daily life that reminds me of my great memories of travel. This piece brings me so much joy. It's titled Sunshine, and I got it from a thrift store. At the time, I was like, what in the world am I going to do with this? And it came in perfect, and it brought in the yellow. I do love how it's a little bit unexpected. Just like they say in fashion, with the wrong shoe theory, I love practicing the wrong art theory. I kind of thought about bringing in something soft or simple as an art piece above the toilet, but I love that we did this bold, funny, funky print. I started My Great Marketing, which is my marketing agency, about 2 years ago. However, I was always doing content creation and digital marketing freelance since I was in college. So I started building it then, and I moved to Charleston about 4 years ago and found that this is just the perfect city for people who are creators or making or doing something exciting. So we kind of jumped into that, and now we come alongside lifestyle brands who need digital marketing help. So we do web and socials and ads and branding and everything that comes along with a digital brand. The Birdhouse, my house, is a 1930s bungalow in Charleston, South Carolina, and the door here, the front door, is to my right. And you come in on the porch, and then this is my living room, and then you head into the kitchen, and then there's 2 bedrooms to the left, so it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and then we have a laundry room off the back, and then it goes into my backyard. Next, I'd love to show you my guest bedroom. Right before I head into my guest bedroom, I'd love to share the things in my hallway. So originally, this was an old phone booth in the home, and I turned it into this place to feature this grotto art. We painted the back blue and put in this perfectly fitting statue that features Lourdes, France, which is one of my favorite places, and it just brings me so much joy every day. And then above it, in an old frame, I put a wallpaper sample, which is a great way to use wallpaper samples, is picture matting. And then above is just a note that I found in my grandma's things that I took from her home that says, don't just pray about what seems logical and possible, pray hard about the impossible. Because nothing is impossible with God. Ever, period, end of story. And I love that it features her handwriting and her heart in my hallway. Welcome into my guest bedroom and my office. This is a small space, so we really had to think about how we would make the most of it. So we brought in this day bed, which I love. It gives this couch-like feeling, but it's still super comfortable for guests. And then I put this sisal rug with scallops. You'll notice a scallop trend throughout. That kind of grounds the room and brings in that bohemian vibe. For my desk chair here, I found this on Facebook Marketplace as well. It was $10. And I love the mixed pattern and the unlikely wear of the chair. It has this crisscross back and then this turquoise painted wood as well. On this bed, I kept the linen simple and then complemented it with colorful pillows that I like to change in and out, and then a throw blanket that also brings that color in. Color, color, color. That's the theme of this house for sure. And then we also added this light from IKEA that kind of hangs over the bed, especially when it's on at night. It gives a spotlight and focus to the bed and brings some more intimate lighting into the space. Behind is a blue painting, and I don't even know where it came from, but I love the blue color and it hangs on the wall. Also, we added shiplap to this room, which really helped bring what were really old walls, worn out walls, a new life, and brings that cottage, cozy, beachy feeling in here. So that really cleaned up the space. And then this is just bookshelf full of some of my favorite reads and some more art on the top. This is my little desk that I love. I work here often when I'm not working from my office. I love the scallop detail on the desk and the fact that it's a little bit worn out. Kind of indicates that we're working hard to me. And then above it, we have some art. This painting was done by my friend Emily. This is a simple quote. And then this light actually was the original light fixture on the exterior of the home that you can see in the Polaroid in my living room. We brought it inside the house and I spray painted it gold, and it sits here as a reminder of the original character of the home. Storage in a small house is always hard, so I have little closets throughout the house. This is one of them underneath my stairs where I keep a lot of my coats and a lot of my shoes. And then here are a few pictures from when I studied abroad in Italy that just call back the wonderful memories of travel. Behind this door in the guest bedroom leads to my blue steps and our attic loft. Welcome to my attic space. This is a fun bonus space we just recently redid. So in the front part here features my little sewing craft corner up here. And when I was designing this space, I always thought about what would my dream scenario be as a little girl. So this is kind of a little girly hideaway and craft corner upstairs. Here we have a little reading nook and bed in the front. And then in the back, we have a full bed mattress with fun pillows. I'd love to take you to this back room next, but definitely watch your head because it's a little bit short up here. This is the back part of my attic. The bed here, this is a quilt that my great-grandmother made. I love the colors. With a few throw pillows, the bamboo blinds we brought up here as well. And then on either side of the bed, a few art pieces, coffee table books, and decoration around the bed. And these are the original attic floors that were up here, and we painted them blue, and I love the painted floor look with the little gaps in between. It feels very charming to me. The shiplap on the walls really crisped up the space in complement to the floors. I think any home comes alive with those personal touches, your personal collections. I am a meaning maker. I love to make meaning. So notes from grandparents or art from your house or things with a memory, I find really bring the house some roots and some life, which I love. The second thing I would say is color. I love color. There's a lot of color in here, and art. Next, we'll go back downstairs and I'll show you my laundry room. I'm back at the kitchen. Welcome to my little laundry room. We were able to fit a laundry machine here, and then next to it, Storage is important in a small house, so we fit this shelf and then complemented it with these baskets that are straw and hide a lot of things like linens and shoes, etc. very well. And then hats for extra charm and storage. And then this is a great ledge for plants. This is a great drop spot. We put this bench here where you can put bags, shoes, all of the things as you come through the house. The floors in here are a floral tile that features that blue color throughout the house and also look a little bit worn. Guests often ask if they're original. The answer is no, but I love thinking that they might be. Next, I love to take you to my front porch. Welcome to my front porch. This is my favorite place to sit in the morning, have dinner at night, share a glass of wine with a guest. This is a great white bistro set, kind of gives a fresh Serena and Lily feel. And then we have an outdoor rug here and a bench for extra seating. And I love the view of the azaleas outside my porch right now because it's spring. The ceiling is blue. A lot of homes in Charleston have a blue porch ceiling. This is the same blue that's on the awnings and also matches the fridge on the inside. So I love bringing that into the outdoor space. And this rug is a Lowe's clearance find, but it does bring in the teal colors inside my family room, which is right through this door. To me, home is a place where we wait for heaven. It is a special place that we get to gather and live and where our day-to-day unfolds. For me, my house and my home is a creative outlet. It's a place where I can be creative and live my artistic life every day. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you around my home in Charleston, South Carolina, and I hope to see you again soon.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Hattie. Welcome to our Brooklyn apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Hattie. I'm a copywriter at a tech startup, and you're at our apartment in Brooklyn in Cobble Hill. I found this apartment. We were living upstate during COVID, and we were ready to move back to the city. And I put out a PSA on a Facebook group that's in this Brooklyn area. I put a picture up of myself, my husband, my dog, described a little bit about what we were looking for. And our landlords reached out and showed us a video of this spot, and I immediately fell in love with it. So I moved to New York back in 2016. I just graduated undergrad and moved to go get my master's here in the city. And I was living in Crown Heights at the time with roommates, and I had another apartment in Bourne Hill after that. And then COVID happened. I went upstate for a couple years and then found this apartment. So we moved back about 2 years ago. So our apartment's about 650 square feet, I'd say. So you walk through the front door, you come down a very narrow hallway. It's not that pretty. We have a shoe rack, a coat rack. It's not that exciting. And it brings you right into the kitchen, which then leads right out to the back patio. Off of the kitchen, you have the living room where we're sitting right now. And then down another small little hallway, you have the bathroom, and then finally the bedroom. So this is our living room. This is where we spend most of our time. Right here is a piece that I got from my grandparents. It's actually from a woman named Sandra Bowden. She was my mom's elementary school art teacher, and this is just an abstract painting. I believe it's supposed to be a beach scene, and it was hanging up in their home for forever, and I've always loved it. So another thing from my grandparents is this sofa. And it's actually from the 60s. It's a pull-out sofa. We have a lot of visitors in New York. So this was great to have, and we've gotten a lot of use out of it. The reason it lasted over 50 years is because they kept plastic on top of it. And I got it reupholstered in this beautiful Krypton green velvet color. And then these pillows are custom. I pick out the fabric for these, and I think just with art, it makes a beautiful little vignette. So on the walls, we have Benjamin Moore Winter Lake, which I love. We are a west-facing apartment, so we don't get a lot of light, and we are on the ground floor of a townhouse. So it's very dark and cozy, and I wanted to lean into that. So I picked a nice soft blue, and it was a pain to paint, but I loved the result, and I would do it all over again because I loved the result. And then over here we have another painting from my grandparents. They got this in Jamaica actually, and they passed away a few years ago. And before they came in and had an estate sale, all of us grandchildren were able to come and pick a few things that we loved. So I picked these two pieces and the sofa and a couple of their little trinkets, and it's great because it's a reminder of them and their beautiful pieces. And for being such traditionalists, they loved modern art. So I think that fits quite nicely with my style and aesthetic. So these bookshelves were not originally here. They were just kind of empty spaces, and clearly I love to read. I'm a huge reader, and so I knew I needed to have bookshelves here. So my mom came down and was so great and helped me build these, and they make for beautiful storage and also, you know, showing off things I've loved and collected over the years, and obviously it's like my little home library. So this is a little rooster I got in France last summer at an antique market in Nice, and I loved it because that is their national animal, I believe, and I love blue and white as well, and ceramics and pottery, so I thought this was a nice little moment on the bookshelf. Right here we have a vintage Italian mid-century modern chair, which I also got reupholstered in this beautiful blue clay fabric from Crabbit. It was this kind of jacquard floral pattern before, which is not my thing, so I got them reupholstered. And this was a Facebook Marketplace find, this bench, and it came in this horrendous fabric, so I also got that reupholstered in this beautiful Thibaut floral pattern that I absolutely love, and I think it turned out amazing. And also shout out to my mom. She owns a business that focuses on reupholstery and installation, so she's helped me recover the sofa, the bench, and the chair. And I just, again, to take something old and spin it so it reflects more of who you are in your style. I love that. So these shades were actually custom made and installed as well. So this is a beautiful Crabbit fabric that I loved. I love just the very thin stripes. Again, there's a lot of patterns and colors, so I really wanted something simple that would look beautiful against the blue. So this is our coffee table. This is another Facebook Marketplace find, and I love it. I love the burl wood. I think it's a great statement piece. Coffee tables are usually the centerpiece of a room, and so I love to fill it with things that are good conversation starters, like matchbooks and places I visited, a little chess set. Don't look too closely at the pieces because I don't have them set up right. And coffee table books that of things we love. So my husband loves soccer. I love art. I have a weird obsession with the Tudor dynasty. And yeah, I think it's just a great conversation starter and a nice little way to display things you love. And then over here, we have a vintage Gerald Macabre credenza that I got at an auction house in New Jersey, and bless my husband, he rented a U-Haul and went and picked it up for me. Thank you, Kevin. It's extremely heavy, but again, it holds a lot, and I wanted something that was the width of this space right here. So when I found this online and did the measurements, it was perfect, and I knew I had to have it. And then again, same like the coffee table, just presenting things and displaying things I love, pictures of places we've been and people I love. I got this candelabra from H&M Home, which I love and encourage people to check out. They have a lot of great things. So I love also collecting frames, among many things. And you know, whether that's from an antique market or somewhere like Marshall's, I think you can find some really great pieces. So these are actually from Marshall's. This is a picture I took of my husband in Ecuador. It's where he's from, and we went horseback riding. And so I really wanted to memorialize that moment. This is me and my mom, who I love so dearly. And this is my husband and me at our wedding back in 2021. We actually got married at the house I grew up in. So again, I just think you can find great things wherever you go. I'll always prefer secondhand shopping, but like I said, Marshall's, Home Goods, Target, H&M Home, there are great things to be found there as well. So clearly the ceiling is not that high. I'm 5'10" and the ceiling's 6'8". So it does make the space, you know, along with it being on the ground floor, not getting a lot of light. It's also had the low ceilings. It presents its challenges where it can be very dark. But again, I think with the paint choices and, you know, filling it with lots of furniture, I think it's often the opposite. I think the more you fill a space with, the more cozy and actually bigger it tends to feel. And like I said with the color, I just fully leaned into the coziness of being on a west-facing ground floor apartment. And yeah, the ceiling is low. I can't raise my hands all the way up, but that's okay. I think especially living in New York, you can't have it all. And you really have to prioritize and pick and choose what's important to you. And, you know, I think this space fit the bill for a lot of reasons. So we love it anyway. We have the other side of the bookshelves. Again, huge reader, so love to have my little personal library, and I just kind of break up the books with little moments and little vignettes of either picture frames or things I've collected. So this piece right here is by an artist named Herman Zucker. It's oil and canvas painting, and I believe it's a street in Peru. And I love it. I got this off of an auction as well. I loved the colors. I think it fit great in this space. And I have a couple more pieces of his as well. I just love his style, and I think he's a beautiful artist. And then here, this is New York City dining table for you. Really small, really tiny. These chairs don't look too closely. Again, I need to poly these and sand them some more, but you know, they're doing the job. They're getting the job done right now. And then this table is just from Amazon. I looked high and low to find, you know, an antique that would fit this space perfectly, but sometimes you just gotta get something new, and that's okay. And it is a great little space. It's where I work from, it's where we eat, and I think this creates a beautiful little moment right here. So I'm a big proponent of shopping high and low and mixing eras. I think if you lean too heavily into all antiques or to all brand new furniture from Amazon, you run the risk of it looking like a showroom or a museum. So I think when you mix high and low and new and old, it results in this kind of beautiful, collected and cozy feeling. So this rug I got from CB2. CB2 was on our registry when we got married, and I got a lot of gift cards from it, which is great. So it helped me purchase this on mega Black Friday sale, and I love it. It's been with us for 4 years and it doesn't shed, and I think it brings in some texture to the room as well by providing a neutral base, because obviously I love color. There are a lot of competing things in the room, so I think to keep a neutral base was really important with this rug, and I think it does the trick. Here's a nice little vignette. Again, love chinoiserie, so this is another Facebook Marketplace find. I got it in Dallas, Texas, and drove it all the way back up to New York City. And I love it. So this functions as a bar cart and kind of like a catch-all. I'm not going to open it because there's just a lot of junk in there, but displaying some bottles of liquor that we love and I think are really beautiful. And again, coffee table books and flowers and candle, just to kind of zhuzh up this little hallway that leads into the bathroom. This mirror I got at an antique store in South Florida, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. I had something a bit plainer before, but swap this out and I think it just elevates it a little bit more. So on this side, we have a couple pieces that I adore. This one my mom actually made in college. She's an amazing artist, among other things. And then above here, we have a photograph from my photography professor in college. I was a double major in art and English literature, and my photography professor just really took me under his wing. He's a great mentor, and so for my wedding, he gifted us an original piece of his, which I absolutely love, and it's really special. So when we were moving in, the entryway right here is super narrow, so we couldn't get several things in here, including the Italian mid-century modern chairs. So we had to unscrew the legs, unscrew the whole part that comes off of the bottom, and bring it up through our landlord's apartment and come back down through the patio inside this way. And we had to do that with a couple other things too. So I don't subscribe to a certain aesthetic. I'm more collect what I love and what I love to look at, and I think that makes for a very cozy, collected space, which is the result I want ultimately. I grew up in a Dutch colonial home in upstate New York, so a 300-year-old house, and my parents really decorated in the time period of Dutch colonial style. So I grew up around antiques, old things. You know, we didn't have a piece of IKEA furniture in our house, and as much as I wanted that growing up and was kind of jealous of my friends who had more modern builds or lived in a more modern house, I think through osmosis I just absorbed to, you know, love and cherish and appreciate older things and antiques, and I think that's reflected in my taste as I've gotten older. 90% of my house is secondhand or antique. And yeah, I think just growing up around a mom who really appreciated antiques and has a history in the design business, I think I just kind of absorbed all of that. So this apartment was very white, very sterile, very clinical. Clearly I am very colorful, I love pattern. So immediately started with painting the walls. That was the first order of business, and a lot of this furniture I've collected over the last 8 to 10 years, so I've carried it with me to each apartment that I've lived in. And yeah, just covering the walls with art, just making sure it feels cozy. We're in the garden level of a townhouse, so we don't get a lot of natural light, so it's important to me to just fill it with a lot of color to kind of liven up the space. So from the living room, I'm going to take you into the bedroom. So this is our bedroom, which I love so much. And starting over in this little corner, I have my hamper. Again, don't look too closely. I have this piece that I recently got in the Cotswolds at a little antique shop that I love. I was very much into the frame and also the very light sketch, very simple sketch. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And over here, we have another Facebook Marketplace find, this beautiful burlwood nightstand. If you can't tell, I love burlwood, and it fits a lot. Again, storage is few and far between in New York City, so every chance I get to have more storage that looks beautiful, I try to do that. And over here, I have another chinoiserie lamp that I actually got in Birmingham, Alabama at an antique store. And yeah, I have a couple more pieces up here. This I also got in the Cotswolds at an antique store. This is in original etching. It's Salvador Dali, Don Quixote that I love. Again, very simple, but beautiful. It makes a statement. This bed is from IKEA. Again, love some high-low. And this bedding is from Quince, which I love. I actually just switched it out for our fleece ones that we had, and I put on some nice linen. And I think it's a great focal point for the room. Again, have a lot of patterns and textures going on, so tried to simplify the bedding a little bit. This pillow, this lumbar pillowcase, I got at Market in Dallas, and I absolutely love it. And then these 2 Euro shams I got at HomeGoods. So flanking the bed, we have these sconces from Amazon, and I was really trying to find something that we didn't have to hardwire into the wall. So these are just plug in, and you turn them on like that, which is great for reading light at night. This piece in the middle is just a poster of a Picasso piece, and I place it in an IKEA frame. So this jute rug I got off of Etsy, and I love a jute rug. I think it's a great rug to have in any space, but I wanted a little extra something, so I got this scalloped one, and I think it is really beautiful. And then over here we have my dog's toy bin. It's overflowing because we just can't stop spoiling her. And then behind the door, she has her lovely little bed. And that's her little cozy corner. She's a beagle, so she loves things dark and cozy. Over here, we have another piece from my grandparents, a beautiful mid-century modern dresser that's been with me in several places and is an old faithful, and I love it. If you didn't notice, we had 2 big flat screen TVs, and this kind of goes back to, how do you balance keeping something aesthetic, but also making sure it's functional, and living with your partner with different styles. And like I said, my husband has been great and has let me take the reins on design, but his non-negotiable was to have a big flat screen TV. So it's a little big for my liking, but I actually do love it, relaxing in bed and watching YouTube or whatnot, or a Homeworthy tour. Over in this corner, we have another IKEA piece, which I love. It doesn't look IKEA, but I love it, and I needed a place for fit checks before I walk out the door. On this wall, I have 2 prints that my sister actually made. She's a letterpress designer and does invitations, and she gifted these to me for Christmas, and I love to have them on display. Coming over here, we have this beautiful light sconce, again with the Amazon fake candles, because it's very close to the ceiling. And again, I think they look really realistic, and I love it. I got that at an auction in upstate New York. Here is the twin to the other Italian mid-century modern chair. I moved it in here because there wasn't enough space to have the pair of them in the living room. So here it's a nice little moment, a good place to put on my shoes in the morning, or to sit and read, or have my morning coffee as the morning light's filtering through this window. And it's a nice spot. So I love living in Brooklyn because it's a little bit quieter from Manhattan, not as many skyscrapers, a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of brownstones, townhouses, very family orientated, a lot of green space. So I much prefer it to the busyness of Manhattan. Over here, we have a tall boy dresser that I actually got in upstate New York at an estate sale. My husband and I were driving and saw a sign on the yard and immediately peeled in because we just had to see what they have, and I can't resist an estate sale. And so we found this, and I think it was $50, and again, has been with me for a few years and is an old faithful and can hold a lot, which again, in New York City, you need storage. That's imperative. I have my perfumes, I have my jewelry. So one of my favorite artists is Hermannius Bosch, and this is a little section of his work, The Garden of Earthly Delights. And so again, just another IKEA frame, and popped that right in there. This is really special. This is my wedding invitation suite. My sister made it, and it's a work of art, clearly, and my mom had it framed and set up for me as a Christmas present, and I just love to look at it. It was such a special day, and it's just a great reminder of, you know, all the work that went into one of the best days of our lives. So these are actually handmade cornices. Again, mom to the rescue, she helped me. This is a Thibaut fabric, and again, I think it just really matches pretty perfectly with the color on the wall. This is Benjamin Moore oilcloth, and I think it's just a very nice, cozy, calming color, and I've tried to bring this color throughout the room. So whether it's, you know, the pillows or some of the art, and these cornices are great because we had just these Amazon draperies that weren't doing much, honestly, and I think these make more of a statement, and they're just really beautiful. So those are our recent addition. And over here we have my husband's desk. And again, I think what's important to note that not every corner in your home is going to be perfect. I don't think everything needs to be staged. Like, this is real life. We both work remote. We both work from home. And, you know, he's a big Arsenal fan. He has his little trinket corner over here. And yeah, I love it. Like I said, I think a space should reflect the both of you. And this might not be my first choice of things to display, but it's his, and it makes the space us and ours, which I think is really important. And above his desk is this lithograph from Marc Chagall, again, another one of my favorite artists, and I found this at an auction in upstate New York, and I love it. And I think it really ties in nicely the colors with the cornice and patterns, and yeah, this is his little corner. So with rentals, especially in New York City, I think it's something about 70% of people rent in New York. So I think it's really, or I'm a huge proponent of investing in your rental, whether that's with paint or built-in bookshelves like we built behind us, and really making the space your own, because like I said, just the culture in New York City is mostly renters. And so I'm a big believer in investing in your space, whether that's paint or artwork. You know, structurally, maybe not, I don't know, I'd leave that up to whoever is living in that space. You know, there's ideally, if I could, there'd be a few things I would change here, like maybe some kitchen cabinetry, but ultimately I think I found a good balance between injecting myself and my husband into the space and reflecting our personality while also not spending too much money above our rent. So this is the kitchen, and I think for a New York City kitchen, it's on the bigger side, which I love. I'm not the best cook, but I'm a good cook, and I feel like I have a lot of space to move around and do what I need to do. I'm starting over here, just, you know, have the tools, but my brother actually made me this butcher's block for Christmas this past Christmas, which I love and I've gotten a lot of use out of already. And then moving over here, we have this Target frame and this postcard from Spain of the Sagrada Familia that I just popped in there, and I think it makes a nice little vignette right here over this. So I don't actually know what this was supposed to be. I got this at an antique store in Dallas a few months ago, and I just love the design. I love the bamboo, but to me it looked like a wine rack, so it's a wine rack now, and I love it. I think it's a nice moment to put things on display. If someone knows what this is actually for, please let me know. And then this mat right here I actually got from V-Mats, and I'm not crazy about this tile floor, but I just popped this mat over and I think it brightens up the space a little bit more, which I love. Over here we installed these floating shelves because just for some more storage, and you know, just things I've collected. So these glasses I got at Home Goods. These beautiful coupes I got at an antique store in upstate New York. These bowls I got at a thrift store in Japan, along with these cups that I love. And yeah, just really try to incorporate the blue and white throughout. As you can see on the end there, I have those hanging plates. So one is from an antique store in London, and then this is from a thrift store in Japan. So I also love to display stuff that I've collected over travels. You know, I'm not just looking at museums and places to go eat. I'm usually looking up the closest antique store to where we're staying, and always try to hit one up and bring stuff home from our travels. So these canisters I got in Birmingham, Alabama. I know you guys have probably heard me say stuff like Dallas, Birmingham. We have family down there, so every year we pack up the car, take the dog, do the road trip all the way down to Dallas, Birmingham, and finally Florida. And honestly, the South has the best antique markets. So we go down with an empty car and come back with it chock full, but it's great. And then up here, just some copper molds that I collect, another thing that I collect, and you'll see another one over there above the stove. And then just our boring appliances, a little coffee station. And then finally over here, this is a painting I found in upstate New York, and it wasn't framed, and I went and picked out this frame and got it framed, and I loved it. And I think it's a nice little balance of color throughout the space, because again, the kitchen is very white and sterile, so tried to inject as much color as I could and texture to kind of reflect more of my style. My dream kitchen would be a kitchen done by Duval. These are IKEA, and this butcher block top. And again, in New York City, you have to pick and choose. Nothing's gonna be perfect, and that's okay. I think what marks a great designer, not that I am one, but is someone who can work with what they have and transform it without doing major reconstruction. So my husband is lovely and amazing, and he knows that interior design and decor and antiquing is a huge passion of mine. So he kind of lets me run with, you know, designing and what I love. But I think what's important is when you live with someone is that your home reflects the both of you and what the both of you love. So you'll see soccer books. He's a huge soccer person. He works in soccer, so you'll see soccer coffee table books. You'll see, you know, later on in the bedroom, you'll see some of his like trinkets because he loves Pokemon and stuff like that. So I think it's about balancing a beautiful space and aesthetic, but also making sure it's functional and it reflects the people living in it. I think so often people decorate for other people and not so much thinking about how you're going to live in the space and that you're going to spend the most time in the space. So I think it's important that you decorate it in a way that's reflective of whoever's living in it. So this is our backyard, our back patio, and this is Maple. This is the light of my life. She's our rescue from Tennessee. And yeah, so this is our patio. It's great for entertaining, relaxing. We can honestly use it 7-8 months out of the year, which is really great. And it's a great place to host and have parties, have my morning coffee, and let her out to go to the bathroom so we don't have to strap her up and take her out on the street. And she loves to sunbathe here as well. This set I got from Target, and this sofa actually was here when we got here. I think the previous owner left it, but it ended up matching really nicely with the rest of the set. And yeah, just had a couple plants potted just to bring in some more greenery. And honestly, it's pretty quiet back here for being in the middle of the city. It's not that noisy. So again, it's kind of a nice little relaxation moment and feels like an extension of the apartment. So we're really lucky to have this space. The best hosts, you know, I'm not like a Martha Stewart or anything, but I guess my hosting tip would be coming from a perfectionist, not everything has to be perfect. Like, there are a lot of things people will not even notice and they're gonna overlook that you think they might see, but really they're not gonna see it. So whether that's a chip on the furniture or a stain, no one's gonna see that, so don't fuss over the small stuff. So home to me is your sanctuary. Living in New York City, it's very loud and crazy and a lot's going on, obviously. So to have a place where you can have a bit of rest and relaxation and calming, and that is what I try to make my home. I want people to feel relaxed when they enter my home and welcome and, you know, able to kick their feet up. And I know my home is filled with a lot of old things, but nothing's too precious, and I don't want my space to feel like a museum and too stuffy. So I want people to feel like they can come and relax and enjoy the space with me. Thanks so much for coming to visit Homeworthy. We loved having you. I have an Arsenal match to catch, so I'll see you later.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Hannah. Welcome to my home in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Hannah Brenner. I am a social media manager for a digital marketing agency, and welcome to my home in Atlanta. I found this apartment when I was actually working in Miami Beach, and I found out that I got the job here in Atlanta, and my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was already living here, and I had 2 weeks to find a place and move, and I had to have my husband come and tour this apartment for me. And he toured on FaceTime with me, and he toured the entire apartment. Of course, I loved it. He was a little concerned about the old floors and the squeakiness of the floors, but he learned to love it, and we've loved living here, and it's just been a dream with the windows and the charm and everything that comes with an older building. So a lot of the decor inside my unit came with me from previous homes that I've lived in, and I've just been building and collecting on the base that I have. So for example, like this couch that I'm sitting on was the core piece, and I built things around it with things that have been given to me, passed down from generations, as well as my side and my husband's side, from grandparents to parents to thrift find as well. So it's just been a collection over the years of goods that I found. Welcome to my home. This is where we start. This is my entryway here. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, so obviously I don't have much of an entryway, but this wall is the entryway. So I invested in this peg shelf here because I needed something to fill the space that wasn't Christmas decor as I had previously in the first year living here. Left it all year round. So this piece right here is a staple in my home where I can put things on as soon as I walk in, as well as leave a few items that just make me happy in general and tell a story. For example, this jacket I got on our honeymoon in Portugal, and then this hat I got at my very first job and in Miami Beach. And so I just like filling it, starting with the base here, and then I just add all my other day-to-day stuff on top of it. So here we have my couch, which actually has a funny story behind it. I got this couch when I first graduated college and was living in a smaller apartment than even this. And I found it at a thrift store, surprisingly. I realized that it was very dirty, and I was with a friend at the time going thrift shopping, and she said, do not buy that. But I saw a cheap price tag on it, and I saw potential, and I realized that every single piece can be taken off, removed, and washed, and now it looks like a brand new couch. I love to have little accent pieces like this pillow that just tells a little bit of my personality. I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, so this is the perfect pillow for me. Going on to my shelving area, I love to fill these shelves with just more things that make me happy. So this is a photo from our trip to the Grand Canyon as a family with my new in-laws. This is a pot that I actually found at a thrift store as well. I'm pretty sure this is a guacamole holder, but I actually transformed it into a little plant holder. And I bought this little ponytail plant from Trader Joe's, and I love it in this vase. And it just is the perfect addition to this little corner. Of course, I have baby photos of my husband. Living with a white couch has its pros and cons because, of course, you can spill on it. I don't have any dogs and I don't have any kids yet, so thankfully we're relatively clean, but we have gotten a red wine and coffee spill on it multiple times. We can take off all the covers and wash them. So it's been really nice, and it just adds more of a light to it. I think one day I want to get a little fun with the couch and get a pop of color, but for now, I love it in our space. So this tray here we actually got as a wedding gift. My husband actually hates it because it takes up some leg space on the couch and it's just for decoration, but we love it. So it actually holds a lot of the books. Both of our moms like to create books as a hobby for scrapbooking. So they love to, after every event or trip, they make books, and so we've been collecting them over the years now. We've got a bigger collection, it's just hidden right now because there's a lot of books. So this is my gallery wall / TV wall. So actually we'll start from the bottom. This is a piece of a set that my great-grandmother had, and I got it from my mom just a year ago. And I originally had it in the bedroom, and I didn't love how much it was crowding in a small bedroom. So I decided to divide it amongst the living room and the bedroom, and I really am loving it here because it provides some storage as well as a good base to even out the gallery wall. Talking about some of the pictures on the wall is really interesting because it's a mixture of both thrifted items and items that mean something special to me. Starting off with this picture right here, this was from Charlie's grandmother who just gave it to us recently, and it's one of two. You'll find one later on in the home, but this was an oil painting from, she actually wrote it on the back, that it is the grandmother of Helen Chandler Robbins Brenner, who is the maternal, and she was an artist and taught painting classes. So she wrote it all on the back so that we can remember that. So moving on to the gallery wall, this is the next photo that I actually took when I was living in China for a summer. We went to Hong Kong, and I took this photo on the top of one of those buses, and I absolutely loved it, and I got it blown up in China and packed it in my suitcase and brought it back home with me, and it travels now to all of my homes. So it's a little fun memory of my travels. Here we have more pictures of Charlie and I over the years, from traveling to France to weddings and everything in between. And then these two pieces I found at a thrift store. This photo right here is actually a postcard from when I studied abroad to Florence. Next, of course, we have my degree. We have Charlie's degree in the other room, but my degree is in a gold frame, so it's on this wall. And we have a picture of Charlie and I in a photo booth that we got framed, and I put a piece of fabric behind it to just add multiple dimensions to it. And I just love looking at that photo because it was right at the end of long distance when we were finally back together. It's such a happy memory. And then this down here, bouncing off of that, would be a photo from where we got engaged. We got engaged in Miami, Florida, in a garden, a beautiful garden called Vizcaya. And right after we got engaged, we went to the gift shop that they had there and just went all out on buying so many gifts from the gift shop just to be as cheesy as possible and remember all of the things. When my husband first moved in, he had some furniture that came with him, and I had already lived here, so my house was already filled with the furniture that we collected. So when he moved in, he just brought all of the things that were passed down from his side of the family to perfectly blend with my side of the family. And we also love to incorporate more photos of each other as well as plants. The plants are all thankful to Charlie because he really wanted to implement some greenery into the apartment. He was a big fan of that one, adding the greenery to the building. This mirror is actually my sister's mirror, and she didn't realize it, but it came in the U-Haul to Atlanta with me. So sorry to my sister, but it's here now. So over here we have the second part of the set that matches underneath the gallery wall, and this is a dresser. And some may say a dresser does not belong in the living room, but I have loved it in this location. I can transform it into storage. I use it as a bar cart sometimes, or just to hold memories as well. Some things that I love on this dresser would be some of these little mini frames that I found at the thrift store. And they're all very tiny, and we had Polaroid pictures that we implemented from a wedding and put them inside. And of course I have my little nephew in there that I love to death, so I put him in one as well. And these gloves I keep out because we actually got these on our honeymoon as well. And we made them when we didn't make them. We went to a tiny little glove store that's the size of a shoebox in Portugal, and they custom made these and had them fit around my hand. And did I need gloves in Atlanta, Georgia? Probably not, but I'll use them one day. Some things in my apartment might seem a little bit crooked because the floor is very old and has a little bumps in it, but it is so much charm. So if you see some things not perfectly level, I promise they are in our eyes, just not always. So this piece of art actually here, I made in a textiles class. We did a collage class with a Charleston artist, and we got to sew into these, cut out different shapes and sizes, and I just love that it was a piece of art that an artist helped inspire, but I made it myself. It's kind of like a little kid hanging their art just as an adult. This is a frame that we used at our wedding as well. This was the gift card frame, and I made a little watercolor inside that says "Stay a while" just to encourage guests to get cozy here. And I've been playing around with watercolors, which you'll see around the house as well, but it's been a fun hobby to pick up, and it doesn't have to be perfect, so it's a little messy, but it's fun. So another fun fact is that this water pitcher was actually from my husband's grandmother, and we took it and I put an olive tree, another plant put into not a vase, but I put it into to make it into a vase, and I put an olive tree from Trader Joe's as well in here, and usually I kill all my olive trees, but this one seems to be living. It's got a few broken areas, but this one is thriving. So one of the reasons why I wanted this apartment was because of these gorgeous windows and the natural lighting that comes into the space. These windows open up all 3 panels, and it's just beautiful in the springtime and really all year round. We've actually gotten to see so much life and so many seasons out of these windows in this apartment this year alone. Atlanta never gets snow, and we got to see the snow from these windows, and it was just a scene from a movie, and it was perfect. So the feeling that I want everybody to have when they walk into my apartment is really just light and airy as well as cozy and warm, mixing the two with the big windows that I have in my apartment and in the natural lighting, and as well as the cozy features including candles and the pillows and the blankets, just to make it feel like the perfect blend of two. So I work for a social media agency, so obviously I love creating content for other brands, but I started creating home content when I was really going through our wedding process, and I was posting everything with that. And the one video that really kick-started me posting more about my home was when me and my husband were practicing the day before our wedding, doing our first dance in our living room over and over again, and we posted that, and it did really well, and everyone loved seeing my home. And so with that, I just wanted to show what life looks like in my apartment, as well as being a newlywed here. So this is my dining room. I found these chairs also when I found this white couch at a thrift store, and me and my sister and brother-in-law actually popped out the seat and we reupholstered it ourselves. So it was another DIY project. And this is our dining room table, which is actually a fold-out table. So it splits in half. So it's like a half circle right now. And then whenever guests come over, I just shift it into the living room, bring out the whole circle. Takes a lot of room for a one-bedroom apartment, but it fits the space perfectly day to day. This dining room table was actually also from my great-grandmother. So we have a lot of my great-grandmother's antique furniture, which is so special to me, and I love that my mom and family trusted me with it. We're trying to take as best care of it as possible. Talking about this hanging light, when I first moved in, the light was a glass fishbowl, and I wanted something a little bit warmer, a little bit softer, and I found this tufted lampshade from an estate sale, and I just knew it was the perfect piece that would go over the light. The only thing is that it doesn't exactly fit over the light, and so right now we are currently hanging it up by duct tape, so don't look too closely. I just found these actually last week at a thrift house. It's hand-painted plates from Finland, and it comes with a whole matching set, and I just knew there were 2 outliers, and I knew I needed them on the wall right here, and the rest I can use for my day-to-day life, just as a fun dinnerware accessory. I definitely encourage you to keep hosting even if you live in a small apartment, because it makes it even cozier the more people that you get in here. So for us specifically, I love bringing out the table, setting up 4 chairs, even if they don't all match correctly, and just really having a fun patterned plate is going to be my new favorite addition to my hosting essentials. So the next area I want to show is kind of our second bar area. So this china cabinet came with the apartment, and I filled it with all of my mom's wedding china that she got at her wedding, and I love having a little bit of her here. We actually used it as well for the table numbers for our wedding, and it was really sweet to have a full circle moment between my parents' wedding and our wedding, and I just love having it out and having all of the china displayed. So in this area, I found these books at the thrift store, and I wanted to go with a yellow and orange mix. So I started building these, and then I got this pewter plate from our wedding, and my aunt got it engraved for us, which was really sweet. And it just all blends in perfectly with the mix of the orange, the yellow, the greens, and the rattans that we have throughout. So it will all build together perfectly. This is another favorite gadget in our house. It's a wine opener, which only makes sense on top of our wine rack that it's filled with Aperol and wine. And this is a fun contraption because all you have to do is lift up this silver contraption, put in the wine, and then you pull it down and the wine cork comes right out. So it's a fun Saturday night activity for us when we're having date night at home. Another thing, I know I mentioned the watercolor that I've been experimenting with, but one thing I love to showcase just when it's us two at home is the little cards that we have that I've painted Charlie over the years, from the card that I made him on our wedding morning to for his 26th birthday. I just love showcasing the little details and the little memories that we have, which of course are filled with multiple photo booth pictures of us and our friends because we love a good photo booth. So this is my kitchen. It came as a blank slate. Everything was white and I knew I wanted to add some life into it. So I love mixing the browns, the reds, and all of the fun culinary devices that I can in this area. So some things that we got were from our registry, some things that we got were from family passed down. Over here we have a cocktail shaker as well as a rattan ice bucket that we love to use whenever we're hosting and we go outside onto our little back station for grilling. We have a wine decanter that we got. And then over here we have our silver set that my mom gave me that she has been passed down, so she gave it to me, which is very special. And on top of this is Charlie's grandmother's silver tea set that she got in Mexico when she was living there. So that tells a whole different story of a different generation. So I love intertwining all the different stories that come into one home. This is one of my favorite little thrift finds. It's a little, I don't know what it was intended to be, but I'm using it as a ring dish. And so whenever I'm washing my hands or cooking, I take off my rings and I put it in here, and it's just a little cutesy device. So this is a heart rock that I gave my husband one year on Valentine's Day that just says always, and it's so special that we got to bring it into our home. So these rugs actually from Target, and I got them when I was in college, and I was just starting out my love for interior design, but I obviously did not have the budget that I wanted to. So I got these rugs from Target, and I didn't use them for a while post-college, and then I never thought I'd use them again, and I found the perfect space for them in this apartment, and I just love seeing the life and seeing how far I've come from college to now and how it's been moving with me. So moving into the kitchen area, I have a lot of different knickknacks that each tell a story of its own. It's a lot of mixing old and new as well. So I have newer things that we got off our registry, from a pasta maker to cookbooks, some cookbooks I found at the thrift store, and then as well as this Target lamp that I found the base, and then I found a shade from a thrift store that I mixed and matched with. And so I'm just loving the mixture between the two. And then if you come over here, we have this gnocchi maker because we love gnocchi, as well as this very cute olive oil container, or at least I'm treating it as an olive oil container that we got from the thrift store as well. I just love all the different colors and the personality that it shows. And this was painted in Portugal, it said, which was perfect because we got it right before our honeymoon in Portugal. Another thing I wanted to showcase in my kitchen was the salt and pepper shakers that Charlie's uncle actually handmade himself and gave it to us as a wedding gift. So these have been a super special gift that we just will always use. And then moving along, we have these tile paintings that we did on our honeymoon. We actually hand painted these. We did a little class on our honeymoon in Portugal, and we painted these, and we knew we needed spoon rests, and so now they're the perfect addition, just in the kitchen, adding color and life and more stories throughout our home. The next thing I want to showcase is this cutting board that my husband's grandmother just gave us for Christmas this year. She actually had it engraved straight from her cookbook. So it's a page from her cookbook that she had engraved on a cutting board, and it's just so special. It's her waffle recipe. So it's all of the different drawings are directly from her cookbook. So you can even see where she messed up and she had to scratch it out, but it's very sweet. And we used these this Christmas when we hosted Charlie's parents and Charlie's sister in town, and it was just the most special occasion. So one more thing in the kitchen that I wanted to show you guys was this beautiful vase that we got while we were on our family vacation this year to Zion, and we got this at an art gallery, and it was after a long day of hiking and really scary hikes, and it was just such a cool reminder of that trip. So this is the urn and pedestal that I was talking about from our wedding, and it is just a beautifully designed piece that we got from Miss Alice, and it was the beautiful scalloping, and the rattan just was perfect for our garden party wedding. And these are hydrangeas that we filled it with just to keep a little life in this area, as well as the second painting from Charlie's grandmother that also has the same writing on the back as the first one. This is the first plant that we fell in love with. We found it at a garage sale, a moving sale in the neighborhood, and we bought it, and it was so much smaller than it is now, and the leaves are doubling in size as the days go on, so we might need to repot it soon, but it is growing and it loves the light. This is also a cuckoo clock from my husband's grandmother's house, which all of the cousins have been fighting over to keep who was going to keep it, and we somehow snagged it and got it in our home. And I just love all of the stories behind it, and it doesn't work yet, but we are working on it getting to work. So now let's look at our bedroom. So one tip of advice that I have for people when decorating apartments or homes would be to mix old and new. So I have a lot of furniture and decor items that have been passed down from generations, as well as items that I've invested in and purchased to highlight both the old and the new, and they blend cohesively together, making it a really lived-in apartment look. One piece of advice that I've learned from other designers as well as social media would be to not be afraid of implementing color into your home. So I love having pops of color and just items that really speak to me and have personality to show my life in this apartment. So the bedroom is still in its collecting work in progress phase. So we have a lot of ideas that we want to change about this bedroom and a lot of ideas that are still building. So we're starting with the basics. So we have the third set, the bedroom, the bed that came in the set of 3 from my great-grandmother. And this is a little small, so we might replace one day, but for now it exists, or for now it is fine. And then on top of that, we're just slowly building as things come along, and we don't want to rush the process and make it too manufactured. We want it to be organic. So we're building with the bed. One of these days, if I could change anything about this apartment, I would love to change the bedroom, and I would love to really take advantage of this space right here. These windows are beautiful and there's not a lot of storage, so I would love to create a build out on that. That would create a bench right here that we could also do a ceiling to bench bookcase that would help bring a lot of Charlie, or my husband's, reading to life, because he has a lot of books and not a lot of places to store them, as well as a lot of clothes. So we would love to have more storage down here in addition to a naturally beautiful element of the bench and the books. So one of the things that also came with my husband was this bookshelf. This bookshelf was his grandmother's, as well as his hefty book collection that he is still building. So we have a whole third row not finished yet, but don't you worry, that will be filled soon. So, and then on top of this, we just have a wedding photo, as well as our hatch, which I love my white noise when I sleep, as well as this really cute ring dish that my sister got me for our wedding that I love, and I just love the simplicity of it. And moving on to these pictures right here, as I mentioned in the gallery wall, is that my husband's degree is much bigger framed than mine was. So this had a perfect place in the bedroom, as well as a watercolored painting of where we went to college. And so it just is a special little corner for Charlie right here. So this bed was the third piece that I got from my grandmother. It was the third piece in the set, that the rest is in the living room. So with this, it is a smaller bed that we will eventually upgrade, but we love the look of it, we love the feel of it, and it's just gone through the family, so we will keep this forever. So this painting we actually got from the thrift store, and it came vertically, and we got it for our seating chart for our wedding, but we didn't end up using it, and I needed something to go above this bed. And so I had the idea to paint over the parts that made it vertical, and so that way I could have it as a horizontal painting. And so I painted the center and just painted tulips in the middle, and we really love how it makes the space feel more inviting. So we actually just got these sconces from Mitzi, and we put them on the wall. They're renter-friendly hack for sconces, so they don't go through the wall. They are plug-in. We just hide the plug with duct tape. So the rest of it is very beautiful. So my dream home is a little compilation of multiple places that I've lived. So I find things that I love about each place, and I really want to find that in a home. So for example, in this home, I loved the tall ceilings and the lighting, as well as the windows. And I really am looking for that in my dream home, for tall ceilings with a garden in the back that I can try to garden, and then have beautiful windows that open up just as they do here. So this, but in a little bit larger of a space, would be my dream home. So we actually just got this rug from Rifle Paper Co., and we've really struggled with finding a rug for this space that we didn't want to take over the entire room, but we still wanted to make the space feel large. And we also wanted a mix between me and Charlie's style. So we found this one that we both loved, that just has natural elements and light coloring, and it just really pulls everything together in the room. What home means to me is a place of warmth and somewhere that you're excited to get to. So after a long day of work, I just love walking in and saying, this is my life, this is my apartment. And I just love that feeling of home, as well as my husband living here. He is my home as well, and it's just our safe place of love and beauty that I have enjoyed creating.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Andy.
And I'm Marshall. Welcome to our home in Texas.
Come on in. Come on.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Andy Gonzalez Camp,
I'm Marshall Camp.
and welcome to our home in Houston, Texas.
Check it out. We moved into this house 2021, and we saw a lot of potential. That's where I would say the house was at. It was all potential. We had to knock down some walls. We had to paint the walls.
It wasn't our first choice either.
Yes. Yeah, we
missed out on our other home that we put an offer in.
Yes. And then years later, we went back and saw that same house.
Yeah.
And we're like, actually, we're kind of
We're
grateful.
so grateful, that we stayed here.
Yeah. And there was more potential to what we could do with this house.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was a lot more put together. So
Yeah.
We got to get our design and DIY kind of muscle.
Our
itching.
vision come
Yeah.
to life, and do it together too, because
Yeah.
we hadn't ever done anything like this together. So I didn't know your style a whole lot. You didn't really know mine, and so it was cool.
She had the style, and then according to her, I didn't have style. And so whenever we started rocking and rolling, like the accent wall, that was my idea, but then she, put her touch on it with the frame.
Yeah,
so,
we definitely became a good team.
Yeah.
Similar styles now. Honestly, I didn't love a whole lot about this house. I was really sad about the first house we missed out on, but I think just envisioning knocking down the wall in the kitchen was a game changer here. We really got to work with what we had and then adjust, based on our needs and our wants for the house.
Yeah, and you don't have a whole lot of separation of space in the main area. And so we enjoyed that, we enjoyed that it doesn't feel closed off. We can have a lot of people in here at one time and everyone feels spacious and comfortable.
Yeah.
So
I also love that it's a smaller home because I feel like it just really brings people together, I love a small home.
Yeah, cozy,
yeah.
yes.
We met in 2018 in college. Brief conversation. I was in full-time ministry. He was leading worship at a church, and I wanted to bring him on my team at the ministry I was working at, and it didn't really work out that way. And then 2 years later in 2020, he slid in my DM.
That's right. Well, look, I told her she had painted something that was all janky, and I told her that the painting looked like Squidward from SpongeBob, and she said, "Wow, we can't be friends." And I said, "I'll settle for marriage, but I gotta ask my mom first."
Real forward.
And then literally we went back and forth, a little banter, asked her on a date, and now we're married. So
yeah,
I guess
it was all really, really fast too.
9 months of dating and then 6 months engaged. Whenever I knew I loved her, that was it. Got the ring, and asked her to marry me a couple weeks later. And so that knowing I loved her, I really can't describe that. It was more just, hey, I know I want to spend my life with her. We're a good team. You want to go, there's an old saying, you want to marry someone you're willing to go to war with. And so that's it. We've gone through a lot of battles, a lot of wars, but right by each other's side in the mix. So
yeah, but really it was when you first saw me, right?
That's right. The moment I looked into those eyes.
Welcome to the entryway of our home. Right over here is one of the first things that you see when you walk in. This is the very first DIY project that we did in our home. It's just, you built this box, right? And then we put contact paper on it to make it look like burled wood. And then we have a little catch-all for our keys. I think it's supposed to be a planter, but I just think it gives it a good little fun moment there.
So this is supposed to be a reading nook, but I don't think we've read any books sitting in this chair. But we love books. We love old books, new books. And so this is just kind of where they all end up. This right here is a Robert Fisher remake from 1964. It's a mate in two, so it's a puzzle. So when people come, they can try to see if they can solve the puzzle. And this was Andy's idea, even though I love chess.
I took inspiration from a creator on Instagram, and we just made it a little bigger. And you love chess. I don't know what's going on here, but
so this was her sacrifice for me. I wanted something like chess in the house, and we added that in.
Yeah. Over here, we just, like Marshall mentioned, we have all of our books This is a piece by a local artist, Lauren Elsey. And then we have our gallery wall over here. This took time to curate. It definitely takes time to curate a gallery wall, I would say. And it took a lot of time, but it was so worth it because I love every piece on here.
Yeah.
This is my grandfather, my mom's dad, and just love honoring him. She is who she is because of him. So just love having him here.
This right here is a picture of some members of my family with Johnny Cash and Billy Graham from back in the 70s when they were doing the crusade. And so my mom fished that out for me.
Yes.
Right here we have Martin Luther King throwing up the peace sign. MLK, just what he stood for means a lot to us. And
just a good reminder to continue to fight for justice. And I just love the fact that it kind of looks like we took the photo too.
Yeah.
And it's like, we took it, we put it up here. So, and these are just pieces that we've collected over time. Love this irregular mirror too that I also antiqued.
I love history. And so this is, and I also love the Beatles. And so this is a Life magazine from the 60s of when Paul kind of separated with his family. He was out. So I love that. And then this is, I grew up on Tupac. And so this is Pac, this is Madonna, and this is Sting in 1994. So that's kind of a rare picture of them
also
all
looks like
out.
we were at that party.
Yeah, it looks like we're at the table.
I'm not a huge fan of like having big photos of us together. So I kind of condensed them into smaller photos. This is a photo from our engagement shoot, and this is one from our wedding.
And then this is my grandmother and my grandfather on their honeymoon.
On a cruise, right?
On a cruise, yeah. And so it kind of reminds me of like the Parent Trap photo.
Yeah, and then you came up with the idea to add the shelving, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the once we had the accent wall, the very first thing I wanted to do was put shelves across the top and then on the bottom to the left, because I don't know, just having a wall that feels like it has life. And I think books all have a different story and they kind of bring life to it. And then Andy brought the life with the gallery wall. So yeah, it came together.
We took pieces from that I collected before we got married, and then pieces that you had before we got married. So just kind of merged them and helped them make sense for us.
So this area, it was kind of hard to find what would work for this area. Andy actually found this. I think it was our first Facebook Marketplace purchase.
No, Value Village.
Value Village.
It was $100 on Value Village.
$100.
Which seemed like a lot because we were getting married, buying the house. I was like, oh, it kind of hurt, but I'm so grateful we got it.
Yeah, it was a good investment. And then I love music. I love old music, and so I have a lot of records. And so Amazon, this bad boy, but then it plays all of our old school records. I have a lot of old ones here on the side.
For our wedding gift, I gifted Marshall a record of his own music, and so I had it made for him, and that's what I gifted him for our wedding.
So that morning, I was really stressed out moving around, and there's a video of me receiving this gift, and I'm stressed out, I'm freaking out just because nothing's getting done, and I go and I sit down, and I see this gift, and it just stopped me in my tracks. I was like, all right, that is not why I'm here. I don't need to be stressed out. She reminded me by giving me this.
But I should mention you did plan our whole wedding.
Yeah.
I did very little.
Yeah. She was there. She got married.
I was there. These frames right here, I also antiqued, which I bargained for these because he was not wanting to let them go for a good price. So I'm really proud of these and I love them. I know they meant a lot to him, so it was really special for us to be able to bring them into our home. This is a book your dad gave you?
Yeah, he gifted me. I got a degree in psychology, so I love psychology. And this is a Christian directory, a practical side of psychology meeting Christianity. So it was a gift from my father.
Yeah. And then we love chrome. We love a chrome lamp.
Yeah, man.
When we bought the house and we were going to get married in 6 months, budget was tight. We wanted a beautiful home, but we had a budget. Yeah. And I believe we could do both. You can have a beautiful home and do it on a budget. So I think DIY was the way to go. And really, you just took off with building and construction and stuff. So you could talk about that.
So I think my first project was we had someone walking from our ditch behind our house to the front, and it happened a few times. And you know, when people do that, they like to look around, see if they want to take something. So just for the safety of my wife, I was like, we need to build a fence. So I looked up how to build a fence. If you can build 8 feet of fence, you can build 800 feet of fence. So a few buddies of mine came in and we just learned how to build a fence. And then I did the back, and then I did the side, and then I did the other side. And then I was like, you know what, a little patio might be nice. So I did a patio and looked up some, if you look on YouTube, go to the comments because you'll see real contractors showing you what not to do. So that's what I did. I watched how-to videos, and then I watched read all the comments of people who were like, this is gonna mess up. And then built a porch, and then built a Murphy bed, and then did a little L-shaped bench.
In our laundry room.
Laundry room, you know, learned how to do crown molding. Just kind of every single step of the way, you get one tool, you learn how to use that tool well, and you can apply that to the next project. So each project, I mean, I think the most challenging was the Murphy bed. Built-in cabinets look the most challenging, but try to build a Murphy bed and then come back and talk to me, because man, that thing was, I did not want to do that again.
I feel like you probably wish you never showed me these skills.
Man, she takes
every day I'm like,
yes.
Every day I'm like, can you build me this?
She found out I could do something, and then she's like, we are DIYing everything. No matter what.
No matter what, we're saving money.
We want a couch, we're gonna build it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
Oh man, if there's one thing that I've realized in doing any DIY stuff is if someone was paying me to do it for their house, I think I'd be a little bit more hard on myself about the process, and I probably wouldn't do it. And then I do it for my own home, and people look at it as if it was done professionally, because most people don't know or don't realize how simple something is if you know the process and the steps. So don't be afraid to do step 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, step 1 is getting the material. Step 2, once you got the material, you don't want it sitting around. You're gonna try to do something with it. So just get to step 1. You can do it. Like, it's a very easy thing to do once you know the process. Once you know the steps, you can do it.
And you get to enjoy the fruit of your labor after.
Straight up.
It's the best seeing a project complete.
Yeah,
Really.
I got this little thing where I'll just like stare at a project for like a good 5-10 minutes. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, baby.
I'll just catch you on a stool in the laundry room just staring at it.
I'm like, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get to enjoy it. You get to enjoy it when you do it yourself. So now we're walking into our living room. As you can see, we have this couch that we got. This is probably the only thing I think we purchased that was new in our entire home.
That's true,
is this couch, yeah.
Yeah. I added these cute little pillows to give it some, it actually took me so long to find pillows. I'm just not the best at finding good pillows. And I think it adds a good little layer to our living room. Over here is our coffee table that's awesome for Facebook Marketplace, and a DIY candle that I made. It's not the best, but it smells really good.
Smells good. And
we have books. You'll see books all around our house, like this one that we also thrifted. Marshall loves history, so we like to collect books that reflect that. We've gotten a ton from our travels in Italy, and we like to bring them back and show them in our home. I actually DIY'd these matchbooks. It says Mav and Mercy's home, which has them back there, our little dogs, and we love them so much.
She undersells that. I don't know if you realize how hard it is to make a matchbook from scratch, but she DIY'd like an entire sheet and then got all the pieces. And so if you ever come to the house, get a matchbook.
Yeah, grab a matchbook. It makes me happy. On this side of the living room, we have an antique side table that I also got from Facebook Marketplace. It really meant a lot to the woman selling it to me. She had it from her grandfather, and so again, it means so much to us that people sell these things and we get to bring them into our home and more books. This probably is my favorite chair in the house. My friend gifted this to me, and I'm so grateful because I think it just makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
Our dogs love it.
Sink into it.
Yeah, you sink into it. Our dogs love it. Our nieces and nephews love it. So definitely a good place here to hang.
So this is, I love board games. I love board games just kind of bring people together in a competitive way, and I love being competitive. So if you come to the house, We have board games. I love Catan. She cannot stand Catan.
I don't like board games at all.
Yeah.
Also, our first date was a board game cafe, and it was like my worst nightmare, but it was fun.
So she told me she hated board games. So on our first date, I took her to play
I think
board
that's
games.
kind of a red flag, probably.
Yeah. Or it means that I'm willing to challenge her out of her comfort zone. So a little tip there.
I had a little wine. I was good.
And then right here we have some old school books. These are really like those really thick ones that just kind of have a lot of information.
Yeah.
You have like a one of movies, from movies all the way back to Charlie Chaplin days. Our century in pictures. So it's like all of the last 100 years and a bunch of different pictures. And then one about architecture in Egypt. And so I just love like how each different culture and each different era has its own flavor. So
these branches actually are from our backyard. When we were putting up the fence, there was a tree in the fence line, and we were so sad to have to cut it down. And so I just loved these branches and the way they zigzag. And it's just cool to like bring in a part of our home that was here previously and put it here. And also this ceramic vase. I am a huge fan of ceramics, and I just really value the art and the craftsmanship. And so I got this at a charity shop here in Houston. It was just perfect for this space right here. We always need extra stools, and our space is relatively small, so we use these a ton to host and to just put around the house as needed.
Yeah. This piece we got from someone who was clearing out their grandmother's stuff. I think this is from like the 70s, and we paid like $60 for it, and then just put matte black paint on it and went to town. And it's great. It has all these little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
It's not real fire, and it also doesn't get hot. But when you come in, it looks good.
Not that you need it to get hot in Houston.
Yeah.
So then we also just added some books and more of Marshall's history books, and just lots of candles to layer the space and make it come to life. This is our famous rocker chair that Marshall loves to say that it's for our future children. We don't have yet, but it doesn't look that comfortable for babies. But it's a vintage IKEA rocking chair that we love, people love. It just kind of closes up this space too as we move into our dining-ish room, I would say.
It's a dining room.
It's a dining room. It's just smaller. These curtains my mom helped me make, and these curtain rods I actually made out of copper pipes. I hand painted every single ring to match the copper, and it took me a very, very, very long time, but I'm so proud of them, and I think they look so great in our space.
And then this table is a table that we found on Facebook Marketplace again. It was all wooden, and it actually came out to about right here. And we had a friend, Iran, he came through and he cut them back for us and allowed for us to kind of do what we wanted with it. So Andy had this idea to put concrete on top and sand it down. So we did like 4 layers of concrete, sanded it, and so it looks concrete, and then we just painted the base white. So
just to give it some texture and some life, I feel like it really grounded this space too. And just adding these wooden chairs, I think just really makes the space cohesive, makes sense with the rest of it too. And this light that I found at an antique shop too here in Houston, I think this was one of the first things that we put up too. We actually had a wall here, so it was hard to envision what this space was gonna look like, and you just kind of have to do it sometimes.
I was about to say, we put the light up before we had a table, before we knew what the space would look like. We were like, we want that light right there. We love how it has a lot of texture, has a lot of character. It's not cookie cutter in that way. So
we love to host people. I think it was one of just our favorite thing to do when we were newlyweds, and even just now too. We would have people over almost weekly. Marshall's so good at setting the table. I'm like actually impressed.
That's
and we love to have people over. I honestly cook a good salmon, I would say.
So we said we have a lot of firsts that we talk about. The first thing she made me was a dinner with salmon, and then she made me an old fashioned because I like old fashions. And so now when people come, that's like, I want them to experience that same salmon because it's so good. She does like a little orange. I'm not gonna give it away, but
don't give away
she
my
does
recipe.
something with it. And it's delicious.
So we love hosting people for drinks too, and dinners, and when we have our community group over, it's a packed house. So there's not a ton of seating, but we just bring those stools over here and it makes for a comfier, cozier dinner or hangout.
And there's something cool about sitting down, having intentional conversation and dinner, and then moving to the couch and kicking back, or going outside around the fire pit and kicking back. You know, you get to have both. You get to be intentional and then also get to relax. So
totally. Over here we have a little bit of a knick-knack bookcase area. I didn't really know what to do here since this is kind of a wall that is kind of a flex wall, I would say. So we found this great piece from IKEA where we could just showcase all of our knickknacks that we've collected over time.
We have, so I love anything that it looks old and is old, and this has both of those components in it. So this is actually astronauts heading home from the moon, the Atlanta Constitution from 1969. So this is an original newspaper from back in the day. And then we got more of Andy's famous, go ahead and check that out.
They're everywhere.
They're amazing. So
I make sure you take one. I added these old books too, again, just for Marshall, really. I think it just kind of showcases him and what he loves. And so I added these old books, this cool candle. I made this little stand from a ceramic piece, and then just layered a little bit with some dried artichoke here, and this cool wooden bowl that I also got from a vintage shop. In here, we have a little bit of everything.
It's a plethora,
Yeah. We fostered this dog, Roscoe, and he sadly passed away. And so we have his football back there that he completely tore apart in his little paw print. We really miss him. But
I don't think football was his sport.
It wasn't.
I don't think that was his sport. This right here is a grinder from my grandmother that she gifted to me years ago. So it's an old grinder that she had.
Yeah, we have more books. We have some stuff to make drinks down here and just kind of showcase a little things here and there. My sister-in-law gave me that awesome picture that she also got from her family. And so just little pieces that mean a lot to us and things that were gifted to us or things that we've collected in our travels. We like to showcase them here.
My sister, for our wedding, one of the things she did is she had a bunch of people take Polaroid pictures of us on our wedding. And then she gave us this book of all the Polaroids put together. And so one of our dogs chewed it up. And so
it adds to the character.
It adds to the character, so it's inside the thing. But shout out to Mary. She hooked us up with that.
Very sweet to have that. Yes. It's behind the scenes photos that your photographer, videographer don't get. So.
And we honestly, we love them more than the polished photos that we got from our photographers. So.
True. Nothing is too precious in our home. I feel like we love when people feel like they can come in, kick off their shoes, sit on the couch. It's really about, we value how people feel in our home. Yeah,
I think that's it right there. The feeling of feeling at home even in not your own space. And I love history, so I love antiques. And so anytime we go anywhere, one of our favorite things to do is find an antique shop and just go to town. She'll go on one side of the store, I'm on the other side. I'm usually around like the books and the magazines and stuff. And so because of that, a lot of our style is also very muted. Like you don't have a whole lot of bright in your face. And if you do, it's very intentional. Like we don't want like people coming in here and feeling like it's flashy and all up in their face. We want it to feel part of the room, you know?
Yes.
So welcome to our kitchen all the way over here. At one point there was a wall straight up and down right here and a door coming into the kitchen. And
my dream was to have a waterfall edge. And so we really try to make that happen by removing the wall. And also, it just creates like a good open space and also just having a smaller home. It really helps just bring people together too with having this space here.
Yeah, this was a very closed off area, and all the cabinets before this were painted shut. You know, it's the famous landlord paint, and so we were going to want to demo this, and I went to Home Depot to just pick up a bunch of cabinets. I got everything. I put them over here. My cousin does construction, David Ginter, and he came by and he was like, take those back to Home Depot. And
I'll take it from here.
And then he hooked it up and did these built-ins for us. And so we would not have this kitchen if it wasn't for David.
We're really grateful. Over here, we have these matchbooks that I made Marshall. It's a gift to him. These are just spaces that are meaningful to him, like the Wild Horse Saloon. Like he would go there dancing with his mom every birthday for her.
Growing up.
Yeah, and so even like Barcelona, it's one of our favorite restaurants here in Houston. Love incense. I found this photo of Fifth Ward back in the day of this person breakdancing, and I gifted it to Marshall because he grew up breakdancing.
Yeah, so I grew up breakdancing in a crew, and then I also spent a good chunk of my 20s in Fifth Ward, and loved the people out there. And so this was like, man, to see an old school photo like this from back in the day of original breakdancers in Fifth Ward, it just brought joy to my heart. So
Marshall, when he gifts me flowers or roses or whatever, I always grab one when they're ready to go, and I just plop it right here, and I've collected many over time. And so I just think it's cute to showcase. Maybe I need some more. I'm just kidding.
That's right. One flower a year. That's the standard right there.
We're actually super proud of this shade right here. We DIY'd it, and we think it looks so good. And it really was a game changer.
How did we DIY it? What was the?
How did we DIY it?
What was here before?
Just another blind.
Just a regular blind. We took it and then we cut up all the ones in between and then
glued it. It works great. It was such budget friendly, and it was great for this space.
Yeah. And then she also painted in here.
Yeah.
So instead of having to redo all the windows, because windows are a very, very costly project.
Yeah, these are old windows. So they had aluminum, and so I painted them to just cover it until we are in a space where we can get new windows for the whole house. And so it was a good, just budget friendly thing to do. I know older houses have obviously older windows, so.
And then we also got this shelving right here. I had the idea of doing 2 shelves, and Andy is like simplicity. And so she was like, let's do 1 shelf across the board. And so we got this wood from a spot down the street.
Yeah,
just got
lumber yard.
Yeah, 1 piece, and put them in. And man, we love them because it's simple. It's not doesn't take up a lot of space.
And it's fun to showcase different things. These are some coupes that we got in Milan last year. And so, gosh, to bring these back, it was crazy. We had so much luggage, and so we love to showcase these here. These are some ceramic mugs that we got from a shop that was closing. You'll see throughout our house, I love ceramics. I love collecting other people's ceramics. I love making pieces, and so I definitely wanted to have some pieces here.
One day we'll send y'all the link for her website so you can buy those. Yeah.
Maybe. We have some vinyls here, some records here, layered.
Prince, 1999.
Yeah. And so also added some cookbooks that I rarely use. And so just a good piece to have here. Some fun martini glasses here too when we host. They're just easy to grab.
So she wouldn't want me to say this, but this lamp has broken, I'm not even kidding, at least 3 or 4 times. And one night I spent just taking all the broken pieces and gluing it back together. So we've had it broken like this for at least 1.5 years. And it's holding up.
I was really upset. So it was sweet for him to glue it all back together.
Hey, but we're broken pieces that get glued back together ourselves, so.
Over here on this side, we have our stove top, and this is where the magic happens, I guess.
That's where I cook breakfast.
This is, you cook really great breakfast.
And so amazing dinner.
Yeah, we love wood utensils. I got a lot of these from my travels to Zambia, and so I loved collecting them and bringing them back. And so we use these a ton, and just, this coffee machine gets some good use too. And it's a small space, but I really feel like we made good use of every nook and cranny that we could. And so it really just makes sense. It's just 2 of us. It makes sense for us. Yeah. And even if it were more, I think it still makes sense.
It's great. And then shout out to Tony. He helped install this right here. He's a good friend of ours. We wanted something right here, but it's hard to find something that is sleek and kind of matches the tone. So we got something chrome to kind of do the same thing.
Also over here off of the kitchen, we enter Marshall's man cave / studio.
That's right. So
Take it.
we had a lot of ideas for this room. And when I say we, I mean we. She told me, she's like, I want you to have your own space. You can do what you want. And then everything I did, she's like, maybe we should do it this way.
Just a little tweak here and there, a woman's touch.
Yeah, but no, man, it definitely brought the room to life. We love speakeasies. We love the old school. So when you come in, you can kind of see we have dark walls, dark ceiling. I have some diffusers on the ceiling to help with sound. We have this old school mirror, a lot of old school frames, very, very kind of speakeasy. Nothing's really formulaic in this room.
Yeah.
Before we had a comfortable couch out there, we used to spend the most time in here watching TV.
Yeah.
Because it was our only comfortable couch.
Yes.
And then if you come in here, you can see I have a lot of old school pictures. The oldest thing I own is from the 1800s as far as, you know, what's legible. So I got these Scientific American journals from the 1800s. This is from the 1969 premiere of Bonnie and Clyde. Got my boy Frank Sinatra right here. B.B. King, you know, just a lot of influences that I've had in music. And
some drawings we got from our travels.
Drawings. And then this is the little beat laboratory. You know, I love
where the magic happens.
I love creating with other creatives. And so music is really kind of brought to life in that way. And so I love being able to have sessions in here and just jam out and then start something from scratch and build from scratch. So yeah, man, this is where the magic happens.
So off of Marshall's man cave, we have this gallery wall. It's a little bit less curated. When we find something we love, we plop it here. There's still really meaningful pieces to us, like this one. My nephew Judah, we have him over quite a bit, and I had him do his homework, and I guess he got tired of me and stored it in our guest room closet. And so I actually got this 17 tattooed on me just to kind of have him, and just remember him. We really, really, really love him, and so it just meaningful to us. Right off of this hallway, we have our primary bedroom. This is kind of like a very simple, but I think it's like our place of peace when we are ready to go to bed. Over here we have this antique find that I got on Facebook Marketplace. It's such a good score and I'm so happy with it. I added this little dish where I put jewels and stuff. I DIY'd this mushroom lamp. It was one of my first own DIYs, and so I just have it here. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. I framed our, well, these are my journal entries from when our first date, when we got engaged and when we got married. And so I just love showcasing that. It's very personal to me and to you. And then I added some smaller photos from our wedding and from our engagement shoot just to showcase our love.
Yeah, that's really cool. This right here is a chair that used to be in our living room, and we used to sit in it. And ever since it got moved into the bedroom,
I know what you're gonna say.
We no longer sit in it. But Andy's clothes sit in it whenever they need to. So when we were curating this space, Andy was like, I want a really cool mirror, something that is just funky.
Like irregular.
Yeah. So she found this dope mirror. I don't know, where'd you find it from?
No idea.
Hey, you found it.
It found us. Yeah, so again, I have these rods all over the house, the copper rods, and so I love the cohesiveness. Like every room is individual, but it makes sense with our home. On this side of the bedroom, I saw a Pinterest photo of a copper side table like this, and I summoned Marshall, and he made it for me.
That's right.
I'm just obsessed with this. It's so cute. And I put my ring here at the end of the day and my books to read. And then my dream headboard that Marshall made me.
So I freestyled this bad boy as far as the cut. We just she was like, I want something different. I want something that has a little bit of wave to it. And so we just freestyled the cut, glued two 3/4 inch together, and then stained it a cool color, and it's done.
I love it. I feel like it's us.
Yeah, and then you can see this window, and eventually we want to, right where this window ends, extend out maybe 10 or 15 feet, have a master bath, a master closet, and on the right of that would be kind of a little corridor area
that we'll see later.
Yeah, we'll see later. But that's kind of the plan for this room because there's only one bath in this entire house.
Which is okay for us right now, but in the future, if we stay here a little bit longer, we'd like to expand some.
That's right.
Over here on this side of the bed, we have another little Facebook Market find. I sanded it down. It was very dark wood, and I just think it works. It's a mixed match. It doesn't match the other one, but it works here, and it's great. And then we have some frames that we got in Milan of some horses. My mom grew up around horses in Mexico, and so anytime I see horses, it reminds me of my mom and of Mexico. We love going to visit my family, and so I just love having these little frames laid out like this.
Yeah, it's great. So down the hall is the guest room, and this is also Andy's office space / woman cave. So I'll let her
This is my baby. I first color drenched this room green and quickly regretted it. And so then I color drenched it this amazing chocolate brown red color. It just screams me, I think. And so I'm obsessed with it. Here we have a desk, actually. It's a standing desk. I am a walking pad girly, so I like to get my miles in. And it also serves as a beautiful little space to showcase my books and my jewels and this cute chrome lamp. Here I added a copper sheet and I trimmed it, and I just have my memories up there, notes that Marshall has left me, some photos that people have given me, just things like that. I like to showcase that in here. This way is actually this DIY mirror that I made myself with fabric. I'm obsessed with this. You helped me do it. And so here on this wall, I have this beautiful walnut frames. My mom is right here. My mom is like my hero, and she is the most amazing person. And so I have her right here when she was younger. And this is me and my kindergarten party with my brother-in-law who passed away a couple years ago. So I just want to honor him and remember him in this space. Over here, I have a little banquet, just like a little nook area. Actually, it was your idea. It was Marshall's idea. And so
you fought it for a little bit.
I did fight it for a little bit,
around.
but it really is it just makes sense also with the Murphy bed. And so I'll sit here and work sometimes and make my way to my standing desk. And I just kind of like it. It gives it an office vibe. And
we also, I built it to have storage, again, more storage. And so when you lift this up, it has storage underneath for pillows and everything for the Murphy bed.
For the Murphy bed. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect for smaller homes, like we said.
It works out.
And this Murphy bed was my dream. It was actually a Christmas gift for Marshall because I was probably just so annoying about wanting to get one in here because I didn't want an actual bed in here because I wanted space for me as well. And so he built this for us, and it's amazing, and it's so comfortable too. So on this side, I have our closets. This is also sort of a DIY. It was your typical bifold doors, and I added trim and painted them, and I feel like it really elevated the doors. Yeah. And they don't look cookie cutter. Yeah. So.
And that was all her. I was playing the background on that. So she got that muscle now too.
Over here, I have these little frames. They're called nichos. They are handmade in Mexico, and it's just a little reflection of my Mexican culture that I love so much to showcase. And so I added some photos of Polaroids from our wedding and different places that we've been to. So that's this room, and I just love it so much. It really is my own escape place and my place of peace too.
That's right.
I started a hobby / Instagram page. It's called La Casita by Andy. I started it when I lived with my mom, and I just wanted to give her house a little more life and a little more love and depth to it. And so we just started doing little projects. I started with my room there, and then her bathroom, and then I started adding little things here and there, some DIY stuff, and it all just came to life when we bought this house because it was our own, it was mine, and we can, run with it and do creative things and make mistakes and start over, and so I just kind of ran with it. It's just my little side hobby, and I really, really love it.
But she is the bargain queen, so she'll go on Facebook Marketplace. She'll find stuff that normal people would pay a couple grand for and get it for a couple hundred. And so I think she has that muscle. She has that like really good muscle of just seeing a deal, seeing something that is going to look good, even if someone's like, hey, I'll give it away for free. She's like, we'll take it, you know? She can apply that to someone else's home, but yeah, I think when she had her own home, it all came to life.
Yeah. I love a good deal. I would say like 85% of our home
all
is
Facebook Marketplace,
yep. Antiques, thrift stores. We just really enjoy finding those gems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The house was from the 50s, so most of our stuff should be from the 50s, you know? So.
No way. We're about to head outside, but first I want to show you guys our laundry room.
Yeah, so kicking it off, we have this door here, and there used to just be a regular door. And when I was getting the doors for the garage, they had told me this door was not picked up and they were going to give it away for like $125. And so that was a steal. And I was like, I think I know a place we can put it. I've never installed a door before until this one. And if you haven't done it, it takes a very long time if you don't know how to shim it correctly and get it where it needs to go. But you know, it took me longer to get there, but I got there.
We're also big fans of not staining wood. So we left most of it just raw wood. Yeah. Raw. Same with our kitchen. It's all raw wood. So
even the trim that we installed was all raw. Yeah.
This area right here, we just finished and it was all done by Marshall. He built all of the cabinets and I'm obsessed. Now I want to do laundry all day.
Yeah, so it was a stretch. I had never done a cabinet before. I had done shelves, but doing this cabinet was a little stretch. This right here is actually a sketch of what we originally envisioned, and it's exactly what it is. So it's just, it's cool to see something like this that, you know, we're going to be using every single day, day in, day out, come to life like this. We got the stone, the top. Andy wanted a remnant. I'm a big wood guy, but Andy was like, I want a remnant for this.
Well, we needed a remnant because we didn't want to buy a huge slab for this. So we were in search of a remnant and we scored on this beautiful Taj Mahal. And it just really brought out the paint color really brought out the stone. And so we're just so happy that we found it.
Yeah. It was Majestic Stone
in Houston,
in Houston that we got this remnant on, and then they also cut it and fabricated it for us. So shout out to them, and they killed it.
This is one of my favorite parts of it. Marshall had this idea of, we had a hamper here before, and he's like, what if we just kind of made somewhat of a hamper look? And so it's easy for us to put our clothes in here, and then we pull it out to do laundry. So on this little piece right here, we do have a water heater back here. So I was like, what can we do to like just cover up the ugly water heater? So I got this awesome fabric from Fabric Warehouse in Maine and made a curtain, and it just covers it up. And you know, you do what you can with what you have.
That's right.
You know, not everything has to be perfectly perfect, you know. So we added this curtain, and it makes sense. And same with these shades. We made them, and so we're really proud of those.
So one of the little DIY tip for anyone who's going to do a built-in, especially around a washing machine or anything that has plugs in the back, here's something I did is I have a little magnet connecting the door, so when you open it, it shuts. But this allows, if anyone ever needs to do maintenance on the machine, they can just come open it up. They have easy access, and we don't have to pull this thing out or tear anything out.
Yeah.
So just, you know, little practical things. We also wanted to make use of this tiny space. I think it was about 5.5 inches. And so we put a little door there where all of our brooms and mops and stuff can go. So yeah.
I also want to mention our wallpaper. We DIY'd this as well. I went to the fabric store and found a fabric that I loved. I really wanted to play with some color, but also some shapes. And so I grabbed this one. I think it was just so cool. And we literally wallpapered it as if it was real wallpaper with wallpaper glue. And that thing is on. And I think it just is so affordable. And I think it really just made this room super cool and give it some layers too. Yeah,
because I don't know if y'all know about inflation, but wallpaper is going up.
I know!
It is so expensive.
It is so expensive, and we love finding a good DIY.
Joann's is closing, by the way. And so if you want to get fabric, go to Joann's. They got deals right now.
Oh, goodness. Right? On this side of our laundry room, we have our pantry. Because we have a relatively small kitchen, we added our pantry over here. We have our dry food, and it just made sense for us to put it over here. And it kind of looks like it's part of the laundry room, so it made sense here. We scored this awesome Facebook Marketplace piece, and this is where I store all of our linens, my crafts, everything goes here. We have a small house, an older house, and so closet space is terrible.
Minimal, yeah.
So we have this space for that, which is so, so helpful.
And it used to be my tool area. So all my tools were right here.
Yeah.
And so once we got my tools out and over to the garage, this was like
so free for me to.
Just a blessing.
Yeah, totally. I decorated this with some candles, more books, some incense, a piece from Lauren Elsie. And this is where I keep, when I go to the store and find like a cute card, like a happy birthday card, I'll put them in here. So it's always good to have when it's a birthday. You can just find one that makes sense.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, baby.
Over here we have the shades that we also DIY'd that we're super proud of, and I think it really just makes the room look great. Now we can head outside to see our garage. It had a huge transformation.
So this is the first piece of our garage that we got done. There used to be a really messed up garage door that wouldn't work. Everything was all jacked up about it. So I closed it, I put a wall, and I put these boards, which I think is meant for a closet space, like the backing of a closet interior. But I threw some good sealing on it to make sure it's outdoor friendly.
Yeah.
And yeah, we wanted to have something from curb appeal to look clean, so it still looks like a working garage. And then Andy had these ideas.
So I added these cute little copper lighting fixtures here. I think it really just gives it a little pop. Over here we have our gym, but before I show you that, I was dreaming up a space where we can come and drink our coffees in the morning. And so I really wanted a porch in the front. And of course, Marshall made it happen.
Yeah, I love watching videos and how people do it. So I kind of took all the different videos of watching people do porches and I combined them. And so this thing is pretty rock solid.
Yeah, our friends like to joke that if any natural disaster happens, our house will go, but this porch is gonna stay here. So it's gonna stay on pretty sturdy there.
And it's a good place for us to chill, drink some coffee away from the sun.
Yeah.
Relax. We kind of wanted like this to be its own little space away from the house.
Yeah.
So
in here is our gym that we want to show you.
All right, well, welcome to our garage. This has been a space that we have envisioned time and time again of what it would look like and how it would come together. And it came together. So we want to walk y'all through it a little bit. This is my work area. This is where all my tools transition from the laundry room into the garage. All of these old school tools, a friend of ours, their grandfather was giving the tools away. He's in his 80s. And it felt very surreal to have another man pass his tools off to you. All the projects he's done. I think when he was showing me this hammer, he was thinking of all the paint cans in the last 40, 50 years that he's hit with this thing. And so just to be able to, inherit that, I kind of want to put them on display and just a reminder that, hey, one day I might pass my tools off to somebody and that'll be a huge moment. And so I want to cherish them while I got them. Yeah. This is just a space with all that. I'm not a golfer, but I got some golf clubs. So, I'm learning. And then we wanted to have more storage. Again, with the small house, storage is hard. And so envisioning this space, I always envisioned having some built-in cabinets. So these were my first cabinets I've ever built. Yeah. And I love how they turned out. I couldn't find any that were huge like this under a price point that made sense. And so
just build it.
Build it. Hey, take some birch 4x8s and run it. And so came together. The main piece, this is where this garage kind of inspired from the jump, was to have a space for Andy to do her ceramics, because she is super creative and eventually she's going to kill it with being able to sell them and do all that. But she just wants a space to create on her own. So this was the space that I wanted to make for her.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I feel like I was going through a hard season. I was just overworking and I didn't really have my own hobby. And so my sisters and my mom gifted me with a little course at a local ceramic shop here in Houston. And so it kind of like inspired me, and I just feel like it brought life into me again. And so Marshall built me this amazing little studio space. And so I'm just really grateful. I could cry. I'm really grateful for it, and just excited to just be creative here. So yeah. Over here on this end is kind of my baby, I feel.
That's right.
I've always dreamt of having a gym, and so Marshall built this insane little space and really maximized on the space that we had. Do you want to talk about what you did?
Yeah, so I love boxing and conditioning, and I love more calisthenics. I'm not a big weight person, so I've had this in here the longest. And right after we had this, we found a deal on these weights.
Mm-hmm.
And so Andy would work out in here when there was like the floor was all jacked up, there was no walls, it was burning up in here.
And cobwebs.
It was kind of like Hot Works, but 2.0.
Yeah, and a sauna.
And a sauna. And so to have a space where I can do my stuff, and then I've also started using weights, and it's simple. You don't need a whole lot to stay in shape.
Yeah, we're really trying to stay healthy. On this end, we have we added a little fridge just for easy access for water. It has some hair ties, some gloves to lift weights and box, and so we love this space so much, and welcome our friends to use it for a small fee of $30 a month.
That's right. I was about to say, there's nothing like being able to cancel your gym membership for your own space.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a type to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So this is probably the first time I've consistently worked out in years.
It's true. It's great to have your own space. So we love these weights, and we have yoga mats, a yoga ball, jump ropes, this cool little disinfectant situation. And so we also added a cool little a side table here, which is the pair to the one we have in our living room. And I think it brings a touch of vintage in here.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of that. And so I loved incorporating that in here.
4 walls are great, but if there's chaos in those 4 walls, it can be a place of destruction. It can be a place where you're not finding peace, where you're not at home, where you're it's a place of just turmoil or anguish. It can easily go to that spot. And so one thing that has been consistent in this home is us realizing that we love all this stuff, but this is not the end goal.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're not good, it doesn't matter how pretty everything looks. It's not gonna matter at the end of the day. And so we have good community. We have a solid church. We have a relationship with God that really influences how we interact with each other, how we forgive each other, how we show grace to one another. And if you're not doing that, it doesn't matter how pretty the home looks, it's not gonna feel like home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we really value community and memories being made more than something looking pretty. Laughter in this home, just inviting people in our home and them feeling welcome. That makes a home more than how pretty or how curated it is.
Yeah, those people that you're walking with, we can invite them in, and hard seasons, they can lift you up. Good seasons, they can celebrate with you, know, in a space where we can do that. So when I got my very first place, I used to live by myself in a 400 square foot efficiency. And my bed was a couch because I wanted to make sure when we had Bible study or something, we can invite people in. Then I moved into something a little bit bigger. It was still an efficiency. It was like 550 square feet. 150 goes a long way. And I always envisioned of having a space where we could cut loose, do what we want to do, have tools. And now that we have that space, it's kind of like when you have something, you forget to cherish it, you forget what it means. And so I think even that question of what is home, what does it mean to us? I think it's something that we have to remind ourselves, like we are very blessed to be able to have a home that we can do this kind of stuff to. Not everybody can tear down a wall because, paying rent, you can't do that if you don't have a mortgage, it's not yours. And so just to really say, man, thank God for the fact that we have gotten to a place where we can do DIY stuff. And if someone's not there, just like all those years that I had that itch, or like Andy had that itch to want to do that stuff, You can still stretch that muscle in different ways. But man, that being a home, like, you know, having a home, that we take advantage of. And then just us having a place where we can call our own, that we can disconnect from the chaos outside of this place, whatever it is, with work, relationships, family. It could be anything, and we get to disconnect and just, you know, have a place to retreat.
Yeah, I feel like our home is our safe haven. It's a place of safety and rest, and not only us feeling that, but other people that can be in here feeling that is what home is to me, you know? And that starts here. It starts with us cultivating that in our own home first. All right, Homeworthy, thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate y'all. We love you. Thanks for entering our space, seeing our home.
We're gonna go work out now.
Gotta go.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.